You know that moment when everything you thought you understood about the world just stops making sense? When something so unexpected happens that you can't look away, you can't move, you can barely breathe. That's exactly what happened on a dusty road in Sri Lanka when a baby elephant did something that no one saw coming. And I need you to stay with me on this, because what you're about to hear will completely change how you see these incredible animals. Picture this. It's late afternoon in the heart of Sri Lanka, just outside a small town called Habarana. The sun is beating down on this narrow dirt road that cuts through dense jungle on one side and open grassland on the other. A group of tourists is heading toward Minaria National Park, one of those places where you go hoping to catch a glimpse of wild elephants from a safe distance. Everyone's got their cameras ready, excited, talking about what they might see. And then, without warning, their jeep comes to a complete stop. Standing right there in the middle of the road is a baby elephant. Alone. No herd in sight. No mother protecting him. Just this small, vulnerable creature blocking their path. And here's where it gets strange. The tourists think it's a photo opportunity at first. They raise their cameras, start snapping pictures. But this baby elephant doesn't run, doesn't charge, doesn't do any of the things you'd expect a wild animal to do when humans get this close. Instead, he lifts his front leg, holds it up in the air, and stares directly at them. Now, if you've ever seen elephants in the wild, you know this isn't normal behavior. Baby elephants don't approach humans. They definitely don't stand there making deliberate gestures. But this one does. He keeps his leg raised, almost like he's waving, like he's trying to signal something. And everyone in that jeep suddenly realizes this isn't about getting a cute photo. This little guy is trying to communicate something urgent. One of the tourists, a woman from Australia, later said she felt her stomach drop in that moment. Because the look in that baby's eyes wasn't playful. It wasn't curious. It was desperate. It was the kind of look that makes you understand, even without words, that something is terribly, terribly wrong. The baby lowers his leg, takes a few steps toward the thick vegetation at the side of the road, then stops. Turns back. Looks at them again. Lifts his leg again. And in that second gesture, everyone understands. He's not asking them to stay away. He's asking them to follow him. The driver cuts the engine. Nobody speaks. There's this heavy silence where everyone's thinking the same thing but nobody wants to say it out loud. Following a wild elephant into dense jungle is dangerous. It goes against every safety rule. But there's something about the way this baby keeps looking back at them, keeps waiting, keeps insisting, that makes turning away feel impossible. 3 people climb out of the jeep. They move slowly, carefully, keeping their distance but following the path the baby is taking into the undergrowth. The elephant calf walks with purpose, stopping every few meters to make sure they're still behind him. It's deliberate. It's intentional. And with every step deeper into that jungle, the feeling that something terrible is waiting grows stronger. The vegetation gets thicker. Branches scrape against their arms. The air feels heavier here, more humid, harder to breathe. And then, maybe 30 feet from the road, hidden by thick bushes and tangled vines, they see what this baby elephant so desperately needed them to find. His mother is lying on the ground. This massive, beautiful creature, completely still except for the labored rise and fall of her chest. And wrapped around her back leg, cutting deep into her skin, is a metal wire snare. One of those cruel traps that poachers set up illegally, hoping to catch anything valuable that wanders through. But this time, they caught a mother. And her baby had no one else to turn to. The moment the tourists see this, everything changes. One man immediately pulls out his phone, hands shaking as he dials the Sri Lanka Wildlife Conservation Department. A woman starts crying, trying to muffle the sound so she doesn't scare the animals. And the baby elephant runs to his mother's side, pressing his small body against hers, making this low, mournful sound that cuts right through you. You can see the wire has been there for a while. The wound is deep, infected, swollen. The mother elephant can barely move. She's exhausted from trying to break free, from the pain, from the hours or maybe even days of being trapped in that one horrible position. And her baby stayed with her the entire time. Didn't leave. Didn't abandon her. Instead, he figured out the one thing that might save her. He went looking for help. Think about that for a second. This baby elephant, probably less than a year old, understood that his mother was in trouble. Understood that he couldn't fix it alone. And somehow, he knew that humans might be able to help. So he walked out to that road, stood in front of that jeep, lifted his paw, and waited for someone to understand. The wildlife department answers the call. They say a team is on the way, but it's going to take at least 20 minutes. Every person standing in that jungle knows 20 minutes might be too long. The mother's breathing is shallow. She's weak. The infection could be spreading through her bloodstream. And all they can do is wait and hope she holds on. The baby doesn't leave her side. He keeps touching her with his trunk, gentle little movements like he's trying to comfort her, trying to tell her it's going to be okay. And she responds, barely, just slight movements of her own trunk to acknowledge him. To let him know she's still here, that she's still fighting. One of the tourists tries to approach the snare, thinking maybe they can cut it themselves, but the mother reacts instantly. Even in her weakened state, even barely conscious, her protective instincts kick in. She jerks away, makes a sound that's half pain, half warning. And the baby positions himself between his mother and the humans, like a tiny guardian, making it clear that no one should get any closer until help arrives. It's heartbreaking to watch. This family, suffering together, and all anyone can do is stand there and wait. The Australian woman who first felt that drop in her stomach is now sitting on the ground, arms wrapped around her knees, just staring at this mother and baby. Later, she'll say it was one of the most powerfully emotional experiences of her entire life. That seeing that kind of love, that kind of loyalty in these animals made her question everything she thought she knew about intelligence, about emotion, about what it means to be a family. Finally, after what feels like forever, they hear engines. 2 vehicles from the Wildlife Conservation Department crash through the undergrowth, and a team of veterinarians and rangers spills out. These are people who have seen this kind of thing before, who deal with poaching, with injured animals, with tragedy on a regular basis. But even they pause when they see this scene. The baby pressed against his mother, the cruel wire cutting into her leg, the absolute trust in that little elephant's eyes. The head veterinarian, a man named Chaminda who's been doing this work for 15 years, kneels down about 10 feet away and assesses the situation. He's seen worse injuries, but this one is bad. The wire has cut through skin and muscle. The infection is visible. The mother is severely dehydrated. They're going to need to sedate her to work safely, which carries its own risks. But there's no other option. While the team prepares the tranquilizer, Chaminda watches the baby. He later tells reporters that in all his years of wildlife rescue, he's never seen anything quite like this. The intelligence it took for that calf to find humans, to signal for help, to lead them back here. It's the kind of behavior that makes you realize these animals are so much more than we give them credit for. The sedative is administered carefully. It takes a few minutes to work. The mother's breathing slows, becomes more regular. Her massive body relaxes. And only then, only when she's unconscious and can't feel pain, does the team move in with wire cutters and medical supplies. Cutting through that snare is delicate work. The wire is embedded so deeply that one wrong move could cause more damage. Chaminda works slowly, methodically, while another vet prepares bandages and antibiotics. And the whole time, the baby watches. He doesn't make noise, doesn't interfere. He just stands there, maybe 6 feet away, observing everything they do. When the wire finally snaps and falls away, there's this collective exhale from everyone present. The wound is ugly, raw, bleeding, but the trap is off. The mother is free. The vets immediately start cleaning the injury, applying disinfectant, wrapping it in temporary dressings. They work fast but carefully, knowing the clock is ticking on how long the sedation will last. And then something happens that no one was prepared for. The baby elephant walks slowly toward Chaminda, stops right next to him, and lifts his front leg. The same gesture he made on the road. But this time it's different. This time it's not a plea for help. It's something else entirely. It's acknowledgement. It's gratitude. It's this incredible moment of connection that transcends species, that reminds everyone there that compassion is a language everyone speaks. Chaminda extends his hand, not touching the baby, just holding it out in the space between them. The calf holds his gaze for a long moment, then lowers his leg and walks back to his mother's side. One of the other rangers has tears streaming down his face. The Australian tourist is openly sobbing. Because what they just witnessed wasn't just an animal behavior. It was consciousness. It was understanding. It was everything that makes life beautiful and meaningful compressed into one simple gesture. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, I want you to pause right now and hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, stories that remind us why empathy matters, why kindness matters, why every single life on this planet has value, that's what we share here. We're building a community of people who believe in compassion, who believe in making a difference. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and be part of something that actually matters. Because what happens next in this story is going to stay with you forever. Several hours pass. The mother elephant begins to wake up slowly. Her eyes flutter open. She's disoriented at first, confused about where she is and what happened. But then she sees her baby, and everything else fades away. The calf immediately presses his trunk to hers, makes a soft chirping sound. She responds, her trunk wrapping gently around his. It's private. It's intimate. And everyone has the good sense to step back, to give this family their moment without human interference. But the work isn't finished. That wound is too serious to leave untreated. The mother needs ongoing care, antibiotics, monitoring to make sure the infection doesn't spread, which means both of them need to be transported to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center near Utuala, where they can recover under professional supervision before being released back into the wild. Transporting an adult elephant is no simple task. It requires a specially reinforced truck, heavy-duty ramps, a whole team of people. But the hardest part isn't the logistics. It's making sure the baby stays with his mother through the entire process. Because that bond, that connection between them, is everything. Separating them, even temporarily, would cause psychological trauma that might never heal. With incredible patience, the team guides the mother elephant toward the loading ramp. She's limping badly, clearly in pain, but she walks. And her baby follows, matching her pace, never more than a foot away from her side. When they're both inside the truck, when the doors close gently behind them, there's this sense of relief mixed with anxiety. They're safe for now. But the journey to full recovery is just beginning. The drive to the rehabilitation center takes several hours over rough, uneven roads. Inside the truck, the baby never stops touching his mother with his trunk, constantly checking that she's still there, that she's okay. And despite her exhaustion, despite her pain, every time he touches her, she responds. Because that physical contact is how they communicate love, how they communicate safety, how they tell each other that no matter what happens, they're not alone. When they finally arrive at the center, the staff is ready. They have a large enclosure prepared with plenty of space, fresh water, food, and shade. The mother undergoes a complete veterinary examination. The news is both good and bad. The infection has started, but they caught it early enough. With proper treatment, aggressive antibiotics, daily wound care, she'll make a full recovery. She'll be able to return to the wild. She'll be able to raise her son. The days that follow are intense. The wound is cleaned twice daily. The antibiotics do their job. And gradually, slowly, the mother starts getting stronger. She eats more. She moves with less pain. Her eyes become brighter. And the baby, who was nervous and agitated in the new environment at first, begins to relax. He plays a little, explores his temporary home. But he never, not for 1 second, strays far from his mother. The staff at the center remarks that they've rarely seen such a powerful bond. The way the calf attends to his mother, the way she responds to every sound he makes, it's extraordinary even for elephants, who are known for their strong family connections. And everyone agrees on one thing. If that baby hadn't walked out to that road, if he hadn't lifted his paw, if he hadn't refused to let those tourists pass by, his mother wouldn't have survived. It was his courage, his intelligence, his desperate love for her that changed the entire trajectory of this story. 3.5 weeks pass. The wound is healing beautifully. The mother walks without limping. She's gained back the weight she lost. Her strength has returned. and the veterinary team makes the determination that they're ready. Both of them are ready to go home. Release day arrives with mixed emotions. The team has grown attached to this mother and baby, but everyone knows that the wild is where they belong, where they should be. They load both elephants into the transport truck one final time and drive them to a protected area near Minaria, far from known poaching routes, away from unnecessary dangers. It's early morning. The air is cool and fresh. The jungle is waking up with bird calls and rustling leaves. The truck doors open. The mother steps out first, her trunk raised, testing the air, recognizing home. The baby follows, his steps eager but careful. And then, before disappearing into the forest, he stops, turns back toward the group of people standing there, and lifts his front paw one last time. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Because they all understand what that gesture means now. It's not a call for help anymore. It's goodbye. It's thank you. It's the purest form of communication that transcends language, that bridges the impossible gap between human and animal, that says, I see you. I remember. I'm grateful. Chaminda, the veterinarian who cut the wire, who cleaned the wound, who spent weeks caring for this family, wipes tears from his eyes. The rangers stand silent, honoring this moment. And as the baby lowers his paw and runs after his mother, as they both disappear together into the green embrace of the forest, something profound settles over everyone there. The realization that a single gesture changed everything. That one small act of reaching out, of asking for help, created a chain reaction that saved 2 lives. That courage doesn't require size or strength. It requires hope. It requires the belief that someone will listen. That baby elephant could have stayed hidden in the jungle, hopeless and alone, watching his mother die. Instead, he chose to trust. He chose to try. He chose to believe that somewhere out there, someone would care enough to help. And he was right. Think about that. In a world that often feels cold and indifferent, where it's easy to assume no one cares, where giving up sometimes seems like the only option, this story exists as proof that reaching out matters. That asking for help isn't weakness. That there are people who will stop, who will listen, who will show up when it counts. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something real and true, leave a comment and tell us about it. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that kindness exists. That compassion is real. That we're all connected in ways we don't always see but can feel in moments like these. Somewhere in Sri Lanka right now, a mother elephant is walking through the jungle with her baby by her side. Both of them are alive because one small creature refused to give up, because he lifted his paw and someone understood. That's not just a rescue story. That's a reminder of who we can choose to be. Every single day. Every single moment. One lifted paw. One choice to stop. One decision to help. And everything changed.